Hello and welcome to a new episode of Cultural Magazine, where we bring you the latest taking place around the nation. Let's go find out more about what's in store for you in this episode.
Minister of Culture Dr. Ines Abdidaim inspected the first edition of the Scene exhibition at the Aisha Fahmi Palace Arts Complex in Zamalek, in the presence of Dr. Khalid Surur, the head of the fine arts sector, and the artist Ehab El-Laben, the director of the complex, along with a number of plastic artists. The minister said that the Scene is one of the new creative demonstrations that allow Egyptian artists of all ages to present their distinctive experiences, noting that it aims to form a clear picture of the contemporary fine arts movement in all its trends, adding that it is the core of a series of exhibitions bearing the same name. The exhibit is scheduled to be held periodically to document the development of intellectual methods and trends, which are expressed in a variety of plastic artworks, stressing that plastic arts are among the most important of arts that formulate an essential part of the country's soft power. The exhibition aims to display the roots of the art, which go back to historical eras, extending through time as one of the prominent elements in the Pharaonic civilization. Dr. Abdidaim praised the level of the displayed artworks that reflect the richness and uniqueness of Egyptian creativity. For his part, the head of the plastic arts sector, Dr. Surur, said that the Scene exhibition includes about 90 diverse artworks with various techniques, including drawing, photography, sculpture, graphics, and others. The exhibit also includes a group of contemporary artists who represent various trends that shape the features of the Egyptian plastic art world who currently participate in it. The exhibit is expected to run into the summer season in order to allow the largest number of the public to visit it and see distinguished artworks. The Cairo Opera House, headed by Dr. Magdi Saber, continues to implement its annual tradition in celebration of the anniversary of the musician of generations, Muhammad Abdul Wahab. On this occasion, his museum and the Museum of Musical Instruments at the Institute of Arab Music will open free of charge to the public for 5 days. This is part of several events that include evenings for various Arab music groups and include a selection of Abdul Wahab's works. The Muhammad Abdul Wahab Museum includes several sections: the Memory Hall, which comprises 2 suites, his bedroom, his office, and a set of his favorite pieces of furniture. As for the Cinema Hall, it includes all the films that Muhammad Abdul Wahab presented to be displayed for visitors on special screens, in addition to the listening and viewing halls, which are a complete library of his works of music, songs, films, and his private photo albums with public figures and artists. The visitor can browse through an electronic program that is implemented on touch screens. The Museum of Musical Instruments is located at the Institute building and contains a group of ancient instruments that were found during the restoration of the Institute of Arab Music and were carefully renovated and displayed according to their nature. These antique instruments vary between string and wind instruments, percussions, as well as others. Next to each instrument displayed is a device that emits its sound, including rare instruments such as the piano that contains the keys dedicated to Oriental music, the Japanese koto, the Indian centaur, the santur, and the metal mandolin that Muhammad Abdul Wahab played in the song The Lover of the Soul in the movie Ghazl al-Banat. The Opera House administration also decided to allocate several concerts to be held in March featuring a selection of the most famous melodies and songs of the generational musician Abdul Wahab on the stage of the Institute of Arab Music, including Kulthumiyat and the 2 concerts of the Arab Music Heritage Ensemble. As part of the celebrations of the Cairo Opera House headed by Dr. Magdi Sabir on the birth date of the generational musician Muhammad Abdul Wahab, the great Syrian star Safwan Bahlawan presents a concert accompanied by the orchestra led by Maestro Slim Sahab and with the participation of singers Ayat Farouk, Sara Sahab, as well as other distinguished musicians. The program includes a selection of Abdul Wahab's great compositions, including those that I Am Afraid to Say What Is in My Heart, Stay Up Late, Stay at Night, and these are among the many songs that were presented of his making. Muhammad Abdul Wahab was born on March 13th in the Bab al-Sharia neighborhood in Cairo, and he is one of the most prominent Arab musicians. He was called the musician of generations. He was a composer, a singer, and an actor. He began his artistic career as a singer in 1917, and in 1920 he studied the oud instrument at the Institute of Arab Music. Then he started working in cinema in 1933 and on the radio in 1934.
أمسافر وحدك أمسافر وحدك وفايتني لتبعد عني لتبعد عني وتشغلني ودعني من غير ما تسلم وكفى قلبي انا مسلم ودعني من غير ما تسلم وكفى قلبي انا مسلم ده عينيا دموعها بتتكلم ده عينيا دموعها بتتكلم مسافر وحدك وفايتني لتبعد عني وتشغل.
He was associated with the Prince of Poets, Ahmad Shawqi, after he composed the tunes for many of his poems, most of which he sang with his own voice. One of his most prominent works is Cleopatra and Gondula by the poet Ali Mahmoud Taha.
روحي وحياتي ونور عيني وحياة عينيها وحشتيني روحي وحياتي ونور وحياة عينيها وحشتيني.
قولي بقى اتأخرت ليه؟
ابدا يا روحي مفيش تأخير.
لا قولي.
بس اقولك ايه، دقيقة واحدة دي تبقى كتير.
He also collaborated with many Egyptian and Arab singers, including Kulthum and Layla Murad, Abd al-Halim, Nagat, Faiza Ahmad, Warda, Fairuz, Asmahan, and Talal Maddah. The legendary Abdul Wahab passed away in 1991 after enriching the musical life with his artistic works that still live on in the hearts of Egyptians and Arab people.
The Cairo Opera House is a cultural hub that attracts people from around the nation. It brings a lot of artistry and a lot of different art forms. Let's go find out more about the Opera House.
The Cairo Opera Ballet Company represented the Bakshi Sarai Fountain Ballet on the Grand Theatre at the Cairo Opera House, where the dramatic plot showed the feelings of love and jealousy of a love story that glowed in a flawless, powerful performance.
عرض طبعا تاريخي، انا بعتبره تاريخي لان ده كان اول عرض يتم لفرقه باليه في مصر. كان لفرقه باليه القاهره اللي كانت تابعه لاكاديميه الفنون، اللي هو عرض نافوره بخشي سراي، وده من الباليهات العظيمه جدا الكبيره جدا.
Dr. Magdi Saber, chairman of the Cairo Opera House, said that the Bakshi Sarai Fountain Ballet was the first production of the Cairo Opera Ballet Company after its founding in 1966, which was presented on the Khedive Opera Theatre in the same year and embraced by the Grand Theatre for the first time in history of the Cairo Opera House. He continued that it was inspired by a story written by the Russian writer Volkov and formulated by the great poet Pushkin after his visit to the fountain in the city of Bakshi Sarai, and then Boris Aseviev filmed the music. He added that this time the historical ballet is presented with a new production with an Italian director and under the supervision of Mrs. Armenia Kemen, the artistic director of the Cairo Opera Ballet Company.
it's already some years that I had this dream to reproduce here at the new Opera House this very famous ballet. This is an historical ballet, The Fountain of Bakhchisarai, that was performed for the first time in the old opera Khedivian opera. And the thing very important for me that Abdelmonem Kamel, my late husband, was dancing for the first time when he was almost 18, the role of Václav, which is the first dancer. For the first time in his life was dancing as a principal. And of course I had in my mind long ago, but I couldn't collect especially the music, the partitura for orchestra, which is very difficult to find in the world. So when I had the occasion to get the partitura of the opera and a choreographer that was dancing in the main role, which is Valentin Barthes, I asked him to join me to reproduce this very important historical ballet at the new Cairo Opera House. This ballet is very particular because the first act is staged in Poland. The second act is completely oriental because the story tells that Girey Khan kidnapped Maria, a very beautiful princess, Poland princess, from his castle. He kills her fiancé, he kills her father, and he kidnapped her to bring her in his harem. So this is the first act finished with the kidnapping of Maria from Khan Gireid, which is a very strong and cruel character. In the second act we see Maria entering the harem, and of course she's wearing, let's say, different dresses, and all the odalisques are very curious about her look, about her long blonde hair. And especially Zarema, the favorite, the first wife of Girey Khan, get very jealous from her, and after begging his love, Girey Khan, to return to her, to Zarema, she decides to kill Maria. So we see Maria is killed by Zarema, the tragedy, and then Girey Khan, to revenge, oblige her to throw herself from the window of the palace. So these moments are very dramatic, very strong, and even in a ballet it's not easy to make it realistic because the dancers are without words, just by movement. But in this ballet, even in the original choreography, is so beautifully done that of course we had to change some details because we cannot stage the same ballet that was performed the first time in 1938 in Leningrad. So we had to make it a little bit modern, cutting some pieces that were longer in pantomime. But all the cruel story of this Girey Khan and Maria and Zarema is there. And I see that even the dancers are enjoying because on the stage they are acting, and not only dancing but even acting to explain to the public all what is going on. So it was extremely difficult, of course, because we have around 60 dancers. There is a scene with 60 dancers on stage, and everybody is involved in this ballet. There is not one dancer that is not performing, even two roles. And we had even to ask the help of the Academy of Art because the number of dancers were not enough. So we had 10 young students from the Academy that are performing because the scene, especially of the harem, needs a lot of people. So it was really something that we were working for almost 2 months, but the result is very satisfying.
The story of this glowing ballet gathered many contradictory human feelings where dancers reincarnated the characters in a very professional way, which made the audience merge deeply with the smooth performance. Shuruq Bikir, Cultural Magazine.
Egypt has always celebrated its artists in all their forms. Let's go find out more about how we celebrate our artists.
Under the auspices of Dr. Ines Abdedaim, Minister of Culture, the Cairo Opera House represented the Arabian Directions Festival by the Cairo Symphony Orchestra, and under the supervision of its artistic director Maestro Ahmad Al-Saidi, which included 3 concerts representing works by 11 composers from Egypt, Jordan, and Iraq.
النهارده بالنسبة لنا احنا كعازفين
Well, as musical players, it's little unusual the way we play, though this technique is there in the classic music since the late 18th century and the beginning of the 20th century, where we use the string instruments in different ways, whether by clicking on them or even playing the instrument in different venues, which gives various and new sound effects to the instrument itself. Of course, it is something needed as a change from time to time. We do show that in only 2 of our musical work for the composers Ahmad Matkour and Khalid Shukri. The other 2 musical work have their own idea and special composition, which is catchy. It's been quoted from a soundtrack done by the great Maestro Ahmad Al-Saidi, which gives our performance some diversity and shows that we have great composers whom can compete internationally in the field of classic music. Also in the 20th century, we must mention some powerful, talented composers such as Gamal Abdel Rahim, Aziz Al-Shawan, and Abu Bakr Khairat, where they composed strong classic music at that time, where their work acted as a lead to a great start. This festival sheds the light on the musical works of the Arab composers in the classic format, aiming to enrich the musical life in the Arab world, expressing the innovative creations that bear the Arab character in the Western image, and dedicating a night to commemorate the late musician Gamal Salema, which included selections from his outstanding compositions.
النهارده بنقدم عمل أعمال
I'm a member at Cairo Symphony Orchestra, where I'm going to play some contemporary music for the contemporary composers Dr. Ahmad Matkour, Dr. Khalid Shukri, and Mr. Rami Sabri, led by the great Maestro Ahmad Al-Saidi. For me, it's my first time to participate in the Arabian Directions Festival, wishing the audience a cheerful concert. Well, I'm so happy for this chance, in addition of the experience where I enjoyed and learned from the diversity of each composer and their own identity in this musical field.